that's what he wants. He wants that whole note, that the pageantry of this whole thing, Michael.
Yeah, Trump does want that, and Trump also wanted this to be broadcasted prime time, which is why he wanted to turn himself in during prime time to garner more media attention. So now so I don't know exactly why the authorities there gave him such the motorcade and so many officers on motorcycles, unless there were credible threats. Okay, which, that could be it. But at the end of the day, yesterday was a good day for the American rule of law. Yesterday was a good day for African Americans as well, because I've been going through reading the 98-page indictment, and we saw at the core of this was African Americans who were vilified. Ruby Freeman, Shay Moss, their lives were turned upside down. It was, African Americans looked at it as those who were cheating. They're trying to, Trump is trying to get 11,780 votes and invalidate the votes of African Americans. And it's so important for people. What's been missing from a lot of this analysis is the day before January 6, 2021 was the January 5th senatorial elections in Georgia, where not just John Ossoff won, but Reverend Raphael Warnock won. Again, he beat Kelly Loeffler. If you understand the history of Georgia's 1963 runoff election law, which is championed by a segregationist Democrat in the state legislature in Georgia named Denmark Groover, it was designed to prevent African Americans from having statewide political power in the first place. So Reverend Raphael Warnock defied the odds not once, but twice. So this helped to fuel a lot of this white supremacist anger once again. So no man or woman is above the law. The full weight of, Donald Trump thought white supremacy was his superpower, but he found out a black woman is his kryptonite.
All right, all of the thugs in the RICO case in Georgia turned themselves in. No, I'm not talking about the Young Thug case. I'm talking about Donald Trump and his imps. Here are the two mugshots of the folks who turned themselves in today. Trevion Kuto, of course, the black woman, former publicist for Kanye West, and for R. Kelly, turned herself in. Boy, that's one evil-ass looking photo right there. Violation of the Georgia Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, conspiracy to commit solicitation of false statements and writings influencing witnesses as well. All right, let's show the man who showed up in his clerical collar. He was the priest involved. We got that photo? All right, come on, let's show it. He is from Illinois. He was not at all happy about turning himself in. Stephen Lee, same thing. He was involved in this. They were the last two turning themselves in. Here are the 19 mugshots of all of the gang, the Trump gang. That's Donald Trump's mugshot. Literally thinking he's supposed to look tough. No, fool, you look ridiculous. Kenneth Chesbro, that's his photo. Keep going. Mark Meadows, he tried to get out of it. Mike Roman, let's see here. Misty Hampton. Ray Smith, yep, pretty evil. Robert Cheeley, yep, former head of the Republican Party in Georgia. Rudy Giuliani, Scott Hall. Let's see here. Keep going. Sean Steele. That's right. Sidney Powell, that idiot, about to jack her law license. Of course, there's Stephen Lee again. Trevion Cootie, let's go. Keep going. Kathy Latham, she needs some sun. Man, she's pale as hell. David Schaefer needs some sun, too. Jeffrey Clark, yeah, he looks confused. Jenna Ellis, she actually posted something on Twitter. I absolutely hollered at laughing. John Eastman, that lion SOB. He's there. And this idiot, Harrison Floyd, who was the former head of Black Voices for Trump, okay, one of two black defendants. He's the only one who is still in jail. Of course, he was director of Black Voices for Trump during the 2020 election campaign. He was indicted for violating Georgia's anti-racketeering law, illegally influencing witnesses, and conspiring to solicit a false statement. According to the indictment, he repeatedly harassed and attempted to pressure a black election worker, Ruby Freeman, to make a false statement. Now, It's not completely clear why Floyd did not negotiate a bond agreement. Could it be he's broke as hell? His previous arrest could explain why he's still in jail. Floyd was arrested in May for assaulting a federal officer attempting to serve him with a grand jury subpoena. That's never a good thing, player. And so had a bond hearing happening there in Georgia. Now, of course, Donald Trump, Mr. Pomp and Circumstance, turned himself into Fulton County authorities yesterday during prime time. And, of course, you know, they had the motorcade and all of this sort of stuff along those lines. I'm not sure why. I don't quite understand, Matt, what the hell that was about. I've seen former President Barack Obama when he has gone places. He didn't have like a 20 motorcycle. I mean, that was sort of like a motorcade for the existing president, not somebody who used to be in office. What did you make of that? Because again, for the Trump people, they love the pageantry of all of that. I'm not sure why it was required.
Well, I think it's kind of, excuse me, part and parcel with him litigating his case in the public sphere. I mean, what he's trying to do is poison the jury and trying to give credence to the idea that he's not the former president, but he is going to be president again and should get some kind of special treatment. Just the bravado with which he and all of these others are addressing this case is really kind of absurd to me, because generally people are considerably more afraid of federal charges and anything like this, like a RICO type charge, is a pretty scary charge. So for them to not have any concern, or at least any outward concern, I think it's to continue playing this part that he's the president, he's Teflon Don, he's untouchable, and he's going to beat these charges. I think that's why he had all of those cars in the motorcade. And as it relates to Floyd, you know, he's on no bond from what I read, which would explain why he did not make any agreements with Fannie Willis's office relating to bond and conditions before turning himself in. But that's pretty important, actually. It's one thing I always counsel clients on, is before you go turn yourself in, you want to have everything figured out, because it's much more difficult to get your bond situation figured out if you're already behind bars. But in terms of turning themselves in and the way they've approached this, I think it's all part of the show that they're trying to play. And, you know, in terms of poisoning the jury, and to go one step further, I think it's crazy that they're attacking the judges and prosecutors and all the people involved in these cases, because ultimately, you know, the case doesn't get litigated in the court of public opinion. It gets litigated in a courthouse. And that seems to me to be the worst way to plead your case, is by attacking those who are a part of the administration of the case.
I just don't understand, Michael. First of all, Atlanta police and Fulton County sheriffs, they didn't have to accede to that. They could have simply said, you don't deserve all of that. You don't, you're not the president anymore. And so guess what? You now had to stop at red lights. I mean, this to me, go to my iPad. I mean, I'm not quite understanding all of this. Matter of fact, let me just roll it back. I mean, this is the beginning of it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. I mean, you know, 19 motorcycle cops leading, and like this is the whole. I don't get it. Again, to me, what that does is that that's what he wants. He wants that whole the pageantry of this whole thing, Michael.
Yeah. Trump does want that, and Trump also wanted this to be broadcast at prime time, which is why he wanted to turn himself in during prime time to garner more media attention. So now so I don't know exactly why the authorities there gave him such the motorcade and so many officers on motorcycles, unless there were credible threats. Okay, which, you know, that could be it. But at the end of the day, yesterday was a good day for the American rule of law. Yesterday was a good day for African Americans as well, because I've been going through reading the 98-page indictment, and we saw at the core of this was African Americans who were vilified. Ruby Freeman, Shay Moss, their lives were turned upside down. It was, African Americans looked at as those who were cheating. They're trying to, Trump is trying to get 11,780 votes and invalidate the votes of African Americans. And it's so important for people. What's been missing from a lot of this analysis is the day before January 6, 2021 was the January 5th senatorial elections in Georgia, where not just John Ossoff won, but Reverend Raphael Warnock won again. He beat Kelly Loeffler. If you understand the history of Georgia's 1963 runoff election law, which is championed by a segregationist Democrat in the state legislature in Georgia named Denmark Groover, it was designed to prevent African Americans from having statewide political power in the first place. So Reverend Raphael Warnock defied the odds not once, but twice. So this helped to fuel a lot of this white supremacist anger once again. So no man or woman is above the law. The full weight of, Donald Trump thought white supremacy was his superpower, but he found out a black woman is his kryptonite. And this is what a lot of them are going to find out, including those two Negroes as well. So I hope the full weight of her department comes down and puts all of them in prison.
You know what, Kelly, as I sit here and I look at just, this whole deal, I mean, you already see Trump, he wanted this image right here on Fox News. This is what Fox News was showing. And so he wanted that. Now he's literally selling merchandise with his mugshot. One of the networks reported that him and his people were on the plane talking about the look, and he wanted to be a menacing look, and they were so everything was about the presentation. Remember, this is all this guy cares about. And now that this has happened, now the legal battle goes on, and this is now the moment where Fani Willis now has to then begin to apply the screws. That Kenneth Chesbro, he thought he was going to get away with a slip one by demanding a speedy trial, requesting November 4th. She was like, yeah, we're good, October 23rd. And so if that actually happens, we're talking about the first trial is October 23rd, and then only imagine what happens if that guy gets convicted. If you're the other people, we already see one of the former Mar-a-Lago worker in the document case already flipped, get a new attorney, and was like, my initial statements, they were not correct. That's what you're also looking to see happen here. If these people begin to look up and go, oh shit, I could actually go to prison.
I mean, if they haven't had that revelation yet, I don't know what's going on, because your mugshot is out there now. This is not for play. This is the real deal, and this is actually happening. We are not in a vortex. This is not AI. You really have been not convicted. Speaking it into existence, you have been charged with a RICO charge, and this is the real world, right? And it is not surprising to me that Trump did all that yesterday. If there's one thing he knows how to do well, it is to position himself, to exploit himself by way of media coverage, because he is still of the impression that all press is good press. And in his case, that more or less has been true for the past almost decade now of him being in our news cycle because of his blatantly, right now, allegedly illegal shenanigans. I am surprised, however, at how dusty he looked, the Mango Mussolini, in these mugshots. I heard that he was talking about how, he's looking up, how to look all menacing and all this stuff. I'm sorry. You've known for a full, couple weeks and some change that you were about to have this mugshot. I'm bringing the glam squad. I'm filling in that, bald spot.
You mean this glam squad?
Ew, why'd you do that?
Well, you said glam squad, so I mean,
that's not glam squad. Mm-mm.
Oh, I mean that's makeup.
Now but nevertheless, you are a mess. All that to say, people are woefully unprepared regarding this case. Everybody except the DA, Fani Willis. She was ready yesterday. She was literally waiting for them at the door. So I don't know what's going on with these defendants. But get your coins ready, because Trump's not about to pay you. He's not about to pay for you. Yeah, you got some stuff to do now. You got a month.
Oh, well, look, I'm telling you, Matt, go to my iPad. This group right here, somebody gonna flip, baby. I'm telling you right now. If Chesborough, let's say he's found guilty, the other 17 will be like, do I really want a chance 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years in prison for this fool?
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, let me stop first and say Mango Mussolini is by far the best name I've heard for Donald Trump. Thank you, Kelly. I could not control myself. That is hilarious. Thank you.
Oh, that was
all right. Moving on to your. Oh, I was dying. That was golden. But yeah, you're not wrong, Roland. And you know what's interesting about that, particularly something like a racketeering type case, that's exactly what you're going to see. You're going to see the dominoes start falling. You know, the bravado is fine now, right, when you're just in the news cycle. But when it gets down to it, especially if people who have the more difficult cases in this context, you know, get convicted, you're going to start seeing people drop like flies if they're not already, you know, and it just hasn't been reported yet, particularly if it's somebody like the lawyer or someone else who's not accused necessarily of doing an overt act, but is accused of being really intimately involved in the actual collusion or the conspiracy. If he or she, or in this instance, Chesborough, gets convicted, I think that really bodes not well for the rest of the people. And I think you'll see people starting to try to cut bait and get out of it as quickly as they can. Because like, if you look at his charges, all 4 of them are conspiracy, right? So, you know, it looks like at least he's not alleged to have done any of those acts themselves, but instead alleged to have been behind the scenes, I guess, pulling strings or otherwise participating in the conspiracy. And if he gets convicted, particularly asking for a speedy trial, you're going to see the rest of them drop like flies, is my prediction.
Well, you know, the thing that cracks me up, and I'm trying to find this this tweet by Jenna Ellis, which I was kind of like, you can go to hell. You know, she was sitting here doing her little whining and complaining. I think she put up like a scripture or something, and she's like, "This is just grossly unfair. You know what they're doing to us is just not. It's just not right. You know." And now she's sitting here touting her defense fund has raised about $150,000 in all of this, and again. You know, there's, and I love it how now, you know, all her Twitter feed, it's a whole lot of Jesus on her Twitter feed. And that's what you're going to need. That's what you're going to need, Michael. When you choose to stand with a thug, they going to treat you like a thug, and you're going to end up like a thug.
Absolutely. I think Jenna Ellis used a Christian crowdfunding website. You know, she talked about how she didn't have the money to pay the legal fees. There are going to be a lot of them flipping, Roland. And last I heard, Donald Trump owes Rudy Giuliani $3 million in legal fees.
And he's stupid.
He's grossly stupid. Now, Donald Trump has agreed to appear at a fundraiser for Rudy so Rudy can pay his little legal fees and stay out of prison. But if Jenna Ellis or any of these co-conspirators think that the charges are unfair, I would encourage you to read the 98-page indictment, and you can start on page 20 where it starts laying out the 161 overt acts that Fani Willis has identified. Okay, so this is called justice. This is called karma. All right. So don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I don't want to hear any complaining because you all knew what you were doing. You just thought you could get away with it.
Yeah, this is the scripture that poor little Jenna posted, Matthew 5:4, Psalm 32:10 and 11. And I have to remind her, Chuck Colson found the Lord when he was in prison and came out and started a prison ministry. Maybe Jenna Ellis, you could be Chuck Colson 2.0, but he still went to prison. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
All right. Now, if you like the type of information that was shared here today, I mentioned this earlier. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, and register for the online history classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Okay. Saturdays, and normally I would teach one today, but I said, okay, we're going to interview Dr. Chike Akua. So next Sunday we'll be in class. But Saturdays, I teach a 12-week online course that I created called Ancient Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We had a fantastic session yesterday. We dealt with the Dogon and how the Dogon originate in the Nile Valley region of Africa, the Dogon of Mali. We talked about Benjamin Banneker, and it's believed that Benjamin Banneker's grandfather, Banneker, was West African and possibly Dogon. We talked about astronomy, all of this, and the connection between the Dogon and ancient Kemet. The supreme being amongst the Dogon, whose name is Ama, comes from Amen. And we know Amen, Amen-Ra Ptah, the supreme being in ancient Kemet. So we do this class Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's on sale, $80. It's a 12-week online course. This time around, we're going to do 13 or 14 sessions. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch it anytime. Okay. So as soon as you register for this 12-week online course, you can watch the class that we did yesterday and the previous weeks. And even after the 12-week online course is over with, you still have access to the full class. This content, I would say, is PG-13, is not overly graphic or anything like that. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. We take you throughout history. We show some of the interviews I've done with some of our scholars, like Professor Kaba Kamene, Professor James Small, Tony Browder, Dr. David Imhotep, and others. Sundays, I teach Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. We go through history chronologically and look at this history. We look at what leads up to the Civil War taking place. We look at the Reconstruction era, Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, to understand how we got to where we are today, to understand where we need to go from here. And I created both of these two curriculums. We look at 80 to 100 articles in each class. There are book references as well. The first class is about 7 to 8 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books. We show you excerpts of the book right on the screen. Okay. And I'm a historian. I've been studying history 31 years. And these two courses that I teach is the culmination of a lot of research and interviews I've done on the African History Network show. And I've been hosting the African History Network show. I created the show. I've been hosting for 13 years as well. Okay. So there's a PowerPoint presentation with over 200 slides in the first class that we use. I put together the PowerPoint presentation, put together the curriculum also for both of these classes. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We look at work from Dr. David Imhotep, but we also talk about the 1619 Project. Now, today is August 20th, 2019, the 403rd or 404th anniversary, I should say, of August 20th,